Oh, start this one with the placements here. This is again the green vault. I've got our friends here, the fainting goat and wounded warrior. So, good strains, they're tasty. I really like the company because they put the terps content percentage on the back, but they're a good product, good price. Not my overall favorite, but they're good. Good to go for a good night here, sharing a story with you. So thank you again for tuning in. So we're in the desert here. We just left the oasis, and we're about to depart and go. Half the party's gonna go. Well, four members of the party are gonna go east, and the other 4 members are gonna go north because we just met this character who kind of ambushed them on the way out of the oasis. But it's an old lobster friend of our jaguar. Her name again is Raed. So Raed is sort of the leader of this party in the desert, and then they run into this old friend Crackler, kind of old friends, but they're not close or anything. And Crackler's telling this story about how Eel, the Lee's doppelganger, has been in communication with the crab people and of course the lobster people. So the bigger boss families of the crustacean group. And so they have to split up now because remember, Ja, the other half of Raed and Ja, because the jaguars, they are these rainbow jaguar people, and they have a psychic connection, this ability to merge together. And when they're not merged, they're deep black color, and then they merge and they can be rainbow, chameleon sort of rainbow jaguars. And so now they've decided, the Rams have decided that they're going to take the jaguars' advice and split up. So Vestibula's the more venturesome one, and she decides to go ahead and go straight north because they don't really know what to expect going north, because that wasn't the planned route. It's just something that showed up. This Crackler guy just showed up, and so Mercurial says, all right, I'm gonna I'll go ahead and go follow east. And there's a chance too, because Riot is telling him, there's a good chance you'll meet Luna if you go east with me, because, assuming Luna got everything that Luna needed to know from the old man in the cave, made it across, and then maybe is with the Sea King being escorted up north to meet, and again the Sea King, Aquacorn is the Sea Goat King, and they're expecting to rendezvous on the east coast with them. And they've been warned to avoid any of the insectoid or crustaceans because they have this sort of issue in the northern area with the crustaceans running some narcotics to the deer communities and this kind of thing, and then ending up with a bunch of pollution from the deer poop in the salmon runs. So now the men have to decide how they're going to split this up, and they're in the desert. They're just outside of the oasis, and it's starting to sprinkle again. So I'm actually gonna shift this over here and get the computer wet. No, maybe we'll be okay. So the men are deciding what they're gonna have to do to what's going to be best. And Lee just wants to go north. Lee is convinced that his brother and him have this, or his twin. It's not his brother. It's a doppelganger. It's not even a twin, right? Because it's literally a copy of him at the point that when they met the Northerners on the other coast down south in the last story. So Lee's just like, I'm going north. And the younger of the brothers, John, he asks, he's getting sick of the desert. It's hot. He doesn't like the desert at all. And so he says, what's the quickest way out of the desert? Obviously north, east, you're just staying in the desert. So they're in the center of the desert. He says, all right, I'm going to go north, get to this, tropical area. There's more upcoming oases closer going north versus going east. They're just going pretty much desert as fast as they can. But Jake has developed this bond with Raed. They've really been coming to this journey of knowledge together and learning. And so John says, I'm gonna stay with Raed. I'm gonna go east with these guys. Or, I'm sorry, Jake. John goes north with the younger brother John, is very close friends with Lee, and just wants to get out of the desert. So Lee and John go north, and the Hawks have already gone these directions, but they came back because they saw the ambush. And the Hawks' names, one of them's name is Jeffrey. He goes north with them, and what's the other one's name again? I don't remember. When I do remember, I'll let you know the other bird's name. So a lot of this stuff comes in, and I can access some of it sometimes, and get more of this wounded goat in me. We'll get this figured out. Oh, and by the way, I do these placements, and I don't get paid advertising. I don't sponsor any kind of narcotic use of any substance in any way whatsoever, and I always advocate for medicinal and religious use, not even use, I wouldn't consider it use even, proper healthy practices, consumption practices. I've been a medical marijuana patient for a long time, and I don't really like the situation of legal recreationally taxed narcotics. I don't think it's good. It's good promotion of mindset for proper practices with these medicines. So that's my spiel. We'll get on to the journey. Okay, so Hawk Jeffrey leads the way north, and coming up behind them is the two men, John and Lee, and they got their one ram there, the female, vestibula. So those guys go north, and then we start going east, and traveling along towards the east there, and again, Raed is experiencing this new sense of trust, because Raed is really eager for this new age, right, where they're going to get to leave after the Jaguar people are going to get to leave after thousands of years of having their ship crashed and downed, and they're concerned about getting a proper situation because the Scorpion people have basically abused power. And now have all these deer addicted to these drugs, and there's no deer down south, and there's a sad situation. And the Jaguar had come into contact and harmony with the deer people on this planet, so they could get larger operations going for the galaxy. And then so Raed is sort of ruminating about the Jaguar, and is in contact with Jah, and Jah is like, it's going to be okay, but Raed is communicating to Jah like, hey, look, we only have one ram because we got kind of played around there a little bit by Crackler, and Crackler's just doing his job there, for the family. He didn't know anything about Eel. We asked him about Eel, and he said, I don't know who this Eel guy is, other than that he's working with the Northerners, the government of the humans in the north, and he's got the ability to communicate with the he can tap like a crab and talk to the crabs, because he's got this indigenous ability to communicate with the crabs because he's a southerner. And so and in fact, Crackler kind of makes a scene about it. He's like, I don't know who this Lee guy is, but he can talk and he can walk, and he's got 5 toes, and he's got fingernails that know what the crab knows. So the crab and the lobster people are able to communicate with Lee, and then so this gets conveyed to Jah, and over there on the East Coast through the psychic connection. So Jah is communicating this to the Sea Goat King, and the Sea Goat King goes, "This is out of order. We're supposed to have all these rams over here. Now I've lost one of my rams. And of course the Goat King is responsible for the rams, right? They're his domain. They live underneath the earth under the Goat King's protection. And so the Sea Goat King is not happy about this at all, and Raed is getting more and more sketch because Jah and Raed are not happy again with each other. Remember, the Jaguar and the Goat King sort of have this tenuous business agreement where they're moving rams across the continent every other day, and and the Jaguars hadn't been happy about this, but the Sea Goat had finally said, okay, we'll make this a little bit better now because more people are involved, and more people are aware of what's going on. And it makes sense just to attract deer with more than one ram. So they're going east through the desert, and Raed is in this ruminative state, and Jake starts asking about the geography around the area. There's these old volcanoes. And starts asking Raed about them, and Raed says, "Yeah, these are ancient dead volcanoes that have the Sea Goat actually. The Sea Goat King rules the ore underneath these dead volcanoes, and there's this mining process that happens underneath the volcanoes, where they mine the ore of these dead volcanoes underneath the ground, and that's how they keep their whole city going underneath there." And Jake is just fascinated by these stories, learning more about the broader world. And then there's a giant, as they're moving through these sort of old volcanoes, out of one of the volcanoes comes flying a giant peacock, and it's this huge teal colored peacock, and it swoops down. Name's Markdor. And Markdor comes down and greets the Jaguar Raed and this human who's never seen a giant peacock like this before. And Markdor says, "We've seen the pattern. It's happening. The ram age is occurring. It's opening now." And Raed says, "Yes, we know. We have one of the rams here, and we have another one headed north, and then another one on the East Coast." And Markdor says, and the fourth one is up north. And Raed says, "A fourth ram?" Yes, the pattern has coming out of one of the, there was reported that the bird people had seen from above, far above, had seen that the human government intelligence community had come, and they'd found one of the rams that had come out of a mountain up in the northern region. So apparently now we're learning that the Goat King had released a fourth ram up north, but not on the oceans, but in these sort of like mining operations, these old dead mountains where the humans are mining coal and this sort of thing on the sides of these mountains. And these miners had found this ram wandering around. There's no rams on the surface of this whole area at all, the north southern region, and they're all just underneath the earth ordinarily. So when there's something like this is spotted, the humans are just like, alert the government, right? They see a loose ram. It's just protocol, So the government comes in, but rarely is there ever, decades have passed where they never, because the Goat King has a really tight wrap on this. Releases one ram every other day and has for centuries, and but occasionally one of them gets, one way or another, finds their way to the surface or gets loose in the chase with where they're supposed to do the deer thing. And so Raed is another piece in the mystery here. And so the peacock is then also starts revealing more about how the dance that the insects have with the deer and how they're trying, the insects and the snakes are trying to get the deer to learn to fly again. But because of the mushroom scare up there, it's just never gonna. The deer are never gonna feel safe eating these caps again, because they know that there's too many of them have been contaminated with all these new sort of spores that are making it so the northern mushroom situation is not what it was in the south, where it was clean. And so they just can't trust the mushrooms anymore, so they're trying to evolve the consciousness. And so we're sort of getting this different sides of the story now about the intelligence program with the evolution that is being promoted with the deer. Is it good for the deer or not? And we really don't know. Because the peacock starts telling them, I live off of the scrap of these scorpions. Like their runoff and their garbage and everything like this. Even though they don't have anybody cleaning up the salmon, cleaning up the deer population up there, if I need to, I can live off of deer pellets. I can eat deer poop. And the best deer poop is the deer poop of these, addicted deer who are eating all these toxins. But, I'll eat baby scorpions if the scorpions, I'll eat anything. This peacock's telling them. And Jaguar, of course, knows this, but it's more for Jake's awareness. And Jake's sort of getting more of an education for how this happens, and the peacocks are saying it. Yeah, these new communities that are basically communities of sea creatures that are living on the crustaceans. They really are the next phase for the planet that goes beyond the mushroom. And so these crab people are sort of getting a better reputation now with Jake. And Raed has been neutral on the whole situation. It's just wanting to ensure integrity with the commitments, and just getting things clear again, so that there's not this really restriction of information, so that way they can get their contracts with the deer resolved again, and meet with some of the leaders of the deer and figure out what's going to happen with the planet and elsewhere. So Raed is pondering this. Maybe this is a good idea. That what the peacock is telling me here is that the peacock has this really advanced intelligence that goes remarkably beyond the other avians, because the other avians have their roles in the food chain, but the peacock and the vulture have the most diverse. And the peacock, though, harnesses this diversity of diet in a way that's different than the vulture. Well, the vulture will go for pretty much anything, but the peacock is like, I'll go for anything, but I go to get get it akin to what I am wanting to emerge for the beauty of pattern. And so the peacock says that I paint myself these beautiful colors by being more aware of the cycles of death on this planet than anyone else, even just in a subtler way than the vulture. The vultures works with death in a different way, where it's kind of in a grosser material way, so they're not as well attuned to the beauty of the ability for the creatures to really learn from the recycling program that these insects really have this immense insight into, and this hive mind intelligence with. The snakes as well, and the crocodiles and the gator people, the various reptilian creatures have this as well, but they don't have as much of an integration with as a or all the reptilians, this kind of thing. Like they're kind of one man for themselves, whereas the insects have this, awareness of this sort of poison and medicine journey, but they have more of a hive mind process. And again, there was this insect war where that's what wiped out the scorpions down south, was because the insect population said, look, you killed off deer, you're done. And there's this massive insect war that cleared out the scorpions, but the scorpions had evolved when they migrated north, and so that's why we have these really highly advanced scorpions up north that are basically the security personnel and also the poison distributors for the humans and for the whole society with the at the borders, because the scorpions can communicate with both the humans and with the crab people, so they don't always tell the crab people what's going on with the humans. They don't always tell the humans what's going on with the crab people, and meanwhile they're the ones producing and distributing and showing all the crustaceans how to produce and distribute all this stuff that's making the deer people kind of be an environmental hazard. So meanwhile, while they're going east, the other party goes north. And they make their way into the first oasis, or the first tropical oasis. So this is an oasis now where there's salt water. So it's a desert environment, but it's sort of like, it's like an inversion of a tropical island, right? So it's near the sea, but it's in a desert, but it's got this sort of tropical feeling around it. And so they get in there, and the place is just crawling with insects. It's so the humans are a little bit weirded out. They're like, we're used to little baby crabs here and there, but these are a wide variety of insects and large crustacean people walking around covered in, a whole community, and loaded with all these chemicals, and they're immediately started, offered strange, foods and beverages and things. And they're John and Lee are looking at each other like, this is a totally new thing. Let's maybe get a meal. And they've got their hawk friend with them there to tell them. Jeffrey is like, you got to be careful around here. These people are here to get you. They're here to use you in whatever way they can to advance their own technologies and advance their own economics. So they have their eye out, and the hawk, sort of has them on track, and the ram is just standing really close, like, oh my god, what? The crab could eat this little baby ram in one bite, and the baby ram's used to playing with this little tiny crab. So this is a total inversion for the scale of perspective for the ram and for the humans, but the hawk knows what's up. And so they sit down, they go into a restaurant, and they get some of this sort of tropical stew that they have, this local tropical stew. Cause it's sort of like what I've got here, what I'm eating. Chunks of coconut, pineapple, vegetables, and various sea life. And then, of course, they've got these wild boar. Wild boar is just like a thing in this whole northern area of the desert. So they get this stew with local fruits, vegetables, and boar, and they're hogging down on it. They're loving it. And it's got spices they've never had before, and they there's a on their way out of the restaurant, they roll up themselves some smokes, and they have an after meal smoke, and Crackler's there with them. Crackler says, we can't be dilly-dallying around here. We got to get up north into the human area, because you guys are there's not a lot of humans around here, but when they see humans around here, they want their money, and so they're gonna try to draw you into these traps and this sort of thing. So Crackler's like, you guys, we gotta get going, like, we're just gonna have this smoke, I don't want to get going. And they're really enjoying taking everything in. There's a lot of music in the area that they're really, enjoying the sounds of the music. So they're enjoying the culture. They're dancing around outside of the restaurant. They light up their smokes, and up comes one of the upright gators with two little snakes with him, and a medium-sized crab person with all this stuff. And that's some really good smelling smoke y'all got there. And would you like to trade? And they're like, well, we can at least trade with the locals before we go. They're interested in our herbs. Let's look into this a little bit. And so the crustacean says, what do you need? What kinds of goods are you interested in? If you're interested in stuff to get you some energy, stuff to knock you out. Are you interested in more of the psychic and spiritual things? Because we have those. If any of you are interested in doppelgangers, we can hook you up with that. And then we've also got the stingray. There's a blue stingray that has this venom. And Lee's listening to this stuff about doppelgangers and he's asking him about him. Well, I have a doppelganger already. They did, and he's like, oh, good. Well, are you needing the medicine to get you your psychic connection fully established? And he's, oh, this is what this is about. And he says, yeah, well, we've got this extract now from the blue stingray, and we're gonna, well, you can, ingest this, and you can ingest it regularly, eating it, and you'll maintain a chronic connection with your twin. You'll be able to hear the twin there with you, and you can also smoke it to get more of an immediate trance state that's more intense, where you can literally see and be in the environment with the doppelganger side of yourself. And he says, well, this is excellent. This is exactly what I needed. This is obviously why I'm going north, to encounter you and trade. And so they go ahead and they trade some of their herbs there for this blue stingray extract. And John's like, well, I don't have a doppelganger. What's this going to do to me? Like, no, this won't do anything for you, man. If you don't have a doppelganger, you're not going to get any effect out of it. But if you'd like to get anything else, like many of your fellow humans and enjoy a lot of what we have. If you're just looking for something to be able to enhance your overall language process, because some of the humans are getting a little bit better at tapping into the crustacean language, and John says, well, we got crabs back home, I talk to crabs just fine. He's like, well, this stuff it will help you talk to more than just crabs. This will get you the full spectrum of insect languages. You'll be able to understand better. And he says, I've been learning. I just went on a journey down south, and sounds like what I need to know, because John was really fascinated with understanding the correlation between the wolf scratching, and they've realized now that the wolf scratching on the tree was a similar pattern, that they just weren't familiar with that modality of it, but it was a similar pattern to the crab, and it was just it wasn't a different dialect, it was just a different medium, but likely a different dialect as well. So he says, yeah, let's get some of this stuff that gets the human mind working more integratively with the different languages around me, and so they get some of that as well. And then Crackler's like, we got to get out of here. So they head on up north, and they move into the canal region, and they're meeting the boating people, and they're starting to run into more of the humans. So we'll get back to them very shortly.